The city was alive with the sound of rushing cars, chatter from sidewalks, and the endless rhythm of footsteps on concrete. Yet for Ethan, the noise only made the silence inside him louder. He sat on a weathered park bench, shoulders slumped, staring at the crumpled letter in his hand. "We regret to inform you, it was the third rejection this month. His savings had run dry. The bills stacked at home were like weights on his chest. For months, Ethan had been trying to find a job after being laid off. He had worked in customer service, always giving his best, but when the company downsized, he was one of the first to go. Now each day felt heavier than the last. People passed by, students with backpacks, professionals in suits, parents pushing strollers. They seemed to belong somewhere, to have a purpose. Ethan, on the other hand, felt like a ghost drifting among the living. He rubbed his eyes and whispered under his breath, "Maybe I don't matter anymore." It wasn't just about money, it was about worth. For the first time in his life, Ethan felt invisible. Just as Ethan sank deeper into despair, a shaky voice broke through his thoughts. "Excuse me, young man, could you help me?" He looked up to see an elderly woman struggling with two large grocery bags. Her steps were unsteady, and one bag looked like it might tear. Ethan hesitated. Part of him wanted to stay seated, lost in his own storm, but something inside nudged him, an instinct, a whisper of conscience. He stood, walked over, and took the bags from her trembling hands. "Thank you, dear," she said, her smile warm despite her exhaustion. "These old arms aren't what they used to be." As they walked together, she told him her name was Mrs. Peterson. She lived just a block away, alone since her husband passed. "It's funny," she chuckled softly. "I used to be the one helping others. Now I depend on strangers. Life has a way of turning the tables." When they reached her doorstep, she looked at Ethan with kind eyes. "You didn't just carry groceries today," she said gently. "You reminded me that people still care. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness can save a soul." Her words landed in Ethan's heart like a seed. As he walked away, he realized he felt lighter. For the first time in months, he'd done something that mattered. That night, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about what Mrs. Peterson had said. The smallest act can save a soul. The next morning, instead of sinking into his own problems, he decided to notice the world around him. At the cafe, he paid for the coffee of a tired nurse standing behind him. On the bus, he offered his seat to a mother carrying a child. At the park, he gave a few dollars to a homeless man and asked his name instead of just dropping coins. Each time, something magical happened. The tired nurse's face lit up with surprise. The mother whispered a heartfelt thank you with tears in her eyes. The homeless man smiled and said, "You're the first person to ask my name in weeks." These small moments began to change Ethan. Each act of kindness, though simple, gave him a sense of worth that no paycheck ever had. He realized that value isn't measured by what we have, but by what we give. Day by day, his outlook shifted. Instead of being a man swallowed by failure, he was becoming a man who could bring light to others. And in doing so, he felt his own darkness slowly lifting. One rainy evening, as Ethan walked home, he heard muffled sobs near a street corner. Beneath the flickering streetlight stood a young boy, no older than 8, shivering and crying. "Hey, buddy, are you okay?" Ethan knelt down, concern flooding his voice. The boy shook his head, tears streaming down his cheeks. I can't find my mom." Ethan's heart clenched. He gently placed his jacket over the boy's shoulders and stayed by his side. "Don't worry, we'll find her. You're not alone." Minutes later, a frantic woman came running down the street, calling the boy's name. She fell to her knees, wrapping him in her arms, sobbing with relief. "You don't know what you've done for me," she said to Ethan, her voice trembling. "I almost lost hope today. You've given me back my strength." For Ethan, those words echoed louder than any rejection letter he had ever received. At that moment, he understood the true power of compassion. A simple choice to stop, to care, had changed someone's world. He walked home drenched in rain but glowing inside. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel like a failure. He felt like someone who mattered. Months passed. Ethan never forgot that night, nor the lesson it carried. He started volunteering at a local community center, working with struggling youth, kids who reminded him of himself when he felt lost. One afternoon, as he stood before a group of teenagers, he shared his story. He told them about the days he felt invisible, about the despair that almost consumed him, and about how one act of kindness began to rebuild his life. Remember this, Ethan said, his voice steady but emotional. Every act, no matter how small, shapes a life. Sometimes it shapes yours, and sometimes it saves someone else's. The room was silent, but their eyes told him they understood. As the session ended, one boy lingered. He looked at Ethan and whispered, "Thank you. I was going to give up on myself today, but you made me believe I still matter." Ethan's throat tightened. He gently placed a hand on the boy's shoulder, knowing that the cycle of kindness was continuing. Walking home that evening, Ethan passed the same park bench where his story had begun. This time he didn't sit with despair. He stood tall, smiling at the world around him, because now he knew every act shapes a life. And when we choose compassion, we don't just change others, we transform ourselves. Life is often measured by achievements, money, or recognition, but the truth is far simpler. What truly defines us are the small acts of kindness we choose each day. Ethan's story reminds us that even in our darkest moments, we still hold the power to bring light into someone else's life. One smile, one helping hand, one encouraging word. It may seem small, but to someone, it could mean everything. And in giving, we often discover healing for ourselves. So the next time you feel invisible, remember this. You matter, your actions matter, and every act shapes a life. The world doesn't need us to be perfect. It needs us to be human. Choose compassion, choose kindness, because when you do, you don't just change others. You change yourself forever.